Alrighty, folks. Good afternoon and welcome on back here this Tuesday, January 12th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Hopefully, sound should be good to go across the board for all of us live inside the trading room, all of us on social media, Facebook Live, and YouTube. Welcome on back. Quick little new intro song for all of us inside the cyber group room. We had our little basic gong sound effect for all of us for a long time. Ended up doing a nice little intro tune there, so I hope you folks enjoyed. Probably do that going forward. Great to see every one of us, though. Chuck, Bonnie, Lewis, David, Donnie, John, Debbie, Leda, Michael, got everyone, I think. So without further ado, folks, let's hop right into it. BVXV to begin. We have a lot to talk about here. We'll start with this one, I guess, since it's on the screen. BVXV and making a nice push heading into the afternoon. Chuck called this one out just before we started. So, hey, I like it. I mean, shaking back down off the highs right now, but it's not just what you see on the 1 minute chart that would pique my interest. Just anytime you see a stock trending up, nice afternoon breakout heading into the close, I'll definitely put a stock like this on our list. Just looking at the 1 minute chart. But then you look over at the daily chart, and there is a monster gap for this to try and fill a fraction of, at least, not just to say today, perhaps going forward if all goes according to plan. So yeah, BVXV, needless to be said at this point, going to put this on our main list to begin. I do want to go over a couple of other stocks though that we traded from earlier today, if not from the morning, then from what we traded just before. So ENG, let's go into here just to begin. ENG is at the highs right now, pretty similar to BVXV. So, pretty similar. I will put this on our main list right now, but I wanted to start with this really outside of that BVXV because I want to copy and paste the news, or at least lack thereof. So ENG shares trading higher, not seeing any company-specific news to justify the price action, which obviously I'm never really too much of a fan of seeing. I'd love to see at least some news as to why a stock is moving up, over 59+% at this point. But, hey, at this point in the afternoon, we'll look to just follow the volume, follow the breakout to see if this can make a clean breakout once more over 7. It ended up topping off basically underneath that price heading into the 12 p.m. afternoon time here, ended up diving off pretty hard. I left a fortune on the table. I wanted this to drop off a little bit more down towards like 570-ish, 565 here. Ended up holding higher low or maybe double bottom perfectly, ended up breaking back over 6. I jumped in on a small position over 6 and ran it up a few cents. I got out at 616, 617, ended up like taking off right away after. So, at this point, personally, I'm going to wait for another pop over 7 before I try and jump back in myself. But another stock we'll just put on our main list here to begin. All right, and then very similar to those, if it's not already running higher, at least at this point, the FCEL. It is. All right, well, kind of still crawling up higher, but nonetheless, FCEL pushed up after the market opened up. We really talked about this more so in our Traders Talk workshop. So for all of us inside the, or for all of us on social media, rather, feel more than free to join us Monday to Friday right here in the cyber group room every Tuesday. This morning, of course, we ended up doing our live Q&A session, Traders Talk. So we ended up doing the full analysis of not just FCEL from this morning, but from yesterday, Monday, to really start things off. So yeah, definitely right now we're going to put this on our list too. Broke over 1850 just a moment ago, and hopefully just continues running up smoothly. All right. Almost looks like a mini Fausto flag here at 1860, 13K order on the ask. I just saw pop in and out. All right, so I wanted to start with those. What we'll do in just a moment, folks, is go from top to bottom, see what else we have cooking across the gainers and losers list. Terry here in the chat board does say Snapchat pop. I'll look into that first. So Snapchat breaking all-time highs, or at least continuing to, and right now actually still at this point. So you know what? It's not up a whole lot percent-wise, but we ended up doing really well in the Uber trade from earlier this morning. UBER ended up breaking out new all-time high, popped above 55, or really 57 there later on into the morning. Ran up towards 59.32, the new all-time high now. So yeah, Snapchat, I don't mind kind of slipping on our list, Terry. Not up a whole lot, but hopefully it will make a clean run with a new all-time high on that trade. All right, so let's just run it from top to bottom here, folks. Bunch of warrants, or maybe Class U warrant stock here. ACTC, though, otherwise, this one here. Yeah, this is what I want to look into. So I'm guessing it's another one of those acquisition companies. I could be wrong on that. Obviously, a new IPO otherwise. Not much historical data for this to work off of. But, yeah, holding underneath 24. It's not too terrible of a spread. Obviously, I wish it was tighter. The volume on the book isn't that bad either, so to say. Definitely want to see an iceberg order off of 24 acting as a resistance. I'll slip this on our list for right now. I do like the FCEL a lot more. I like Snapchat that Terry called out a lot more. But yeah, this ACTC, that is, I'm sorry. You know what? I'll play along. Let's check out the warrants. I was going to skip over this right away because I wouldn't have expected for there to be nearly as much volume on the book, but it's cheaper, trading 6.5 million shares plus. Yeah, it's pretty much what I expected. I mean, the main stock ACTC is running up pretty nicely. You know, this seems like it wants to go with it, but not as much volume on the order book still. So I'm not a fan of this one. All right, we'll keep it pushing. GSAT, a cheapie. I'm going to zoom out on the daily chart. This got crushed, if not mistaken, a long time ago. So not necessarily here. Yeah, it's been a little while, I guess, but took a big dive. I remember back when it was like $1, $2 stock. So you take your eyes off a stock for quite some time. But with this pushing up nicely right now, I mean, it seems like steady. I'll come back to this maybe at the end. ENG is on our list already. Now we'll kind of just skim through. The ACRX ended up popping right before 12 p.m. Eastern time, ended up dying off, but ended up popping up just before here. So we'll take a look at the ACRX on Benzinga Pro. We'll check out the news. Hopefully there's news on this. All right, there we go. There's our news snippet so far in this ACRX trade. Trading higher as traders circulate a tip ranks article highlighting a bullish analyst commentary on the stock. All right. So, I mean, pretty surprising to see this break higher after getting halted and then the volume dying off, sharply. So seeing this poke around 2 is pretty interesting. It's kind of like back under 2 for right now. You happen to see larger orders roughly every 5 cents on the book, 205-ish, 210, and then from there you assume 215, 220. So for right now, ACRX, it's tradable. Hopefully it has another run left in it. All right. You know what's funny, Fausto, during the audio broadcast today, he kept on calling out Zoom. Hey, Zoom's breaking out. Zoom's making a push. And he'll call out Zoom on a swing trade, right? Zoom's pretty expensive stock. I'm talking Zoom Technologies, ZM. Like, we're not necessarily going to day trade a $352 stock, albeit this is pushing up pretty nicely as we speak. He meant ZOM the whole time, folks. Zoom as in ZOM, Zomedica Corp. Ended up making a nice push in pre-market after 7 o'clock, and then after the market opened up, it took off. So that threw me for a little loop, at least. Hearing him say Zoom, I was like, oh, ZM? No, ZOM. James says he did very well on ZOM today. Fantastic, James. Yeah, it's a nice, cheap stock. You can load up on a few thousand shares, several thousand shares perhaps, and pretty flat for right now. I mean, for the meantime, we're going to write this one off. But, nice morning push at least. I'm kind of skimming over a whole bunch of these folks that I'm not really too familiar with. If there's anything otherwise that you find really good, just type it in the chat boards. I'm going to skip ahead to LJPC. This one looked good in pre-market, pretty similar, and then died off after the open. Looks like ENG is still popping right now, folks. That's up to a high of 750 basically now at this point. Time TYME, nice move up from earlier today. Seems like it's in like coiling up in a range here. Higher lows, lower highs. It's like a huge pennant across the whole day. BMRA, not much there. Man, my scanner's always reset on me here. SYN, I guess it landed me on something decent. This cheapie's pushing up a little bit. GCI ran from earlier today. Nice push from 330 up towards just about 4. FUBO TV pushing up pretty nicely. This thing's had a wacky chart. Looking at the daily chart here, popped basically midway through December, ran from 30 all the way up to 60, dumped all the way back down below 30, and now it's back up and trending at the highs today, and it's like all over. So yeah, I mean, given the 1 minute chart with the stock at the highs right now, hopefully we'll see it push up higher. And, the range on the daily chart gives me optimism that it can make a, stronger push, given the up and down moves. So, definitely not your level 1 stock. This is certainly more of like a level 3 to 4, I'd imagine, just if the spread opens up even more. So I'll put this on our list for the meantime. TIGR, I saw Donnie call out quite a bit. That one was looking pretty good earlier today. Seems like it wants to break out one more time, pushing up sharply back from 1165. So I like this one. We'll put this near the top of our list. TIGR. We followed this stock, not necessarily like with Jamia. I mentioned this in the chat board earlier. JMIA. I feel like these stocks have had like similar squeezes with their volatility. There were IPOs back from like late 2018, early 2019 here. Both popped up, both dumped off. And, you know, I don't think they have any affiliation in terms of their business, but it's just to say they kind of remind me in terms of the pattern here. And, you know, hey, with this squeezing up nicely here going into the afternoon, this might be one of our biggest pushes here, the TIGR. Hopeful. All right, SUNW, another pop today. Wow, this one ended up making a nice push basically from like 875 later on into the morning, but ended up taking off to a high of 970, 969, and kind of creeping back up there right now. So, you know, we're pretty familiar with this trade. I don't mind slipping this on our list too. We'll jump to Plug. We got a bunch of familiar names kind of rounding out the gainer side here, down from like 35 down to number 50 here. Plug moving with FCEL. So if I'm going to put FCEL on our list, you may as well see me put Plug. Should have done that to begin, right, Mike? Man, my scanner's always resetting here. What else do we have? Man, we have a whole bunch of familiar names here on our list. Solo, double top at the high of the day right now. EV stock. Oh boy, this might be a classic Josh afternoon watch list where we have like 30 stocks on our list. Hopefully not. I say that in jest, but man, overstock pushing up nicely here. You know, if you're going to trade a $62 stock, I'd rather trade Plug, for being honest, just based on the liquidity on the book. So listen, if you're a level 4 or 5 trader, like what you see here on OSTK, slip it on your main list. Probably not going to feature this, you know, put a spotlight on this on our main list here, but you probably see the same thing with XPEV, right? I mean, just all in terms of the you know, price. I'd rather see more liquidity on the books. So we traded NEO yesterday. NEO could still be a good stock to follow into the close. This could be a good side list stock with everything kind of bouncing here. But in terms of the strength, in terms of the price, you know, at the expensive ones at least, I'd rather look at Plug. That's all. All right, but hopefully we'll find, you know, a few more cheaper stocks, at least more within our price range here, right? So either way, we'll keep going. GEVO pushed up at least heading into 2 o'clock, popped off a high of or popped to a high of 614 and pulled back. You know, we're pretty familiar with this trade here too. Really across the last month, more on than off, we've seen the stock run up and, you know, maybe a few days break, and then yesterday took off once again today, just now, and yeah, hopefully this will keep going. I don't mind slipping this on our list, just given we're pretty familiar with the trade. GEVO. All right, folks, I'll tell you, we have a really big list at this point. 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. All right, so we have 10 already on our list. We haven't gone through the losers list just yet. So let's see if there's anything else, folks, that looks A+, that looks incredible, that you know, seems like a no-brainer for us to put on our watch list. So, certainly type it in the chat boards. Anything up or down, like 10+%. Not a whole lot that's really down. So, you know, see what's on this side of the list here. But DDD, shortable. Ooh, nice drop off here. This looks pretty A+. If it's not A+, maybe an A-. But, you know, steady trend down into the afternoon, approaching support, what seems to be off at 24, although there's not much of an order on the bid there, at least showing, I'd imagine for there to be, though. So triple D, I'll slip on here. This looks pretty good. Oh, just broke below it. And yeah, so that's kind of what I thought. There was only like 800 shares showing on the bid just when I first looked at it. Once the order got filled at 24, you could see the prints on the tape. A lot more than just 800 shares, like probably like 10,000 here. So this could be a nice continued move here. Just watch 24 on the ask. Make sure that you have more volume padding it up. And for it to, you know, break much lower here. It's kind of shaking around 24 now. RDHL will keep pushing on the losers list here. I'll kind of look for you know, stocks that are more shortable at this point. I'm not really expecting a big squeeze up on a stock that's down like 5-6%. So, you know, I'll look at those that are down big. I'll look at those that are shortable, and you know, that DDD trade looked pretty good just before. I like that. ABUS shortable, interesting. Nah. Alrighty, folks. I think that just about rounds things up here. Michael says Oxy, which we did look at before. I'll look at Oxy. It's pretty slow right now, Mike. It's not really like showing much life right now. It's just been kind of tailing off sideways for a number of hours there. If it was like making the trend that it was making from earlier on, if it was like making this type of push up right now, I definitely would put Oxy on our main list. Looks pretty tired though. So Donnie call out Momo earlier, Chuck calling it out once now. Yeah, same thing. Same thing there. I want to focus on something that doesn't look dead. You know what I mean? Macy's tradable, just kind of crawling. You know, it's at the highs. Again, all tradable, but we want to find something that has opportunity. ACRX, it's on our list already, but Norman shouting it out, saying it just popped. And yeah, this certainly is something now that has a lot more life to it. So I was a little wary of putting this on our list, but now that we're seeing this push up higher, looking pretty good. Got to scroll from bottom to top here, folks. I apologize. Michael was saying also before LE falling off, but was higher. No, there's nothing going on here. DLPN pushing up a little bit from 420. That has life to it. It seems like it might have, but it already made such a big move from earlier today, so I wouldn't expect for there to be as much left, Tony. Nice pop, though, I will say, from that 420 level. XNet going anywhere. XNet hopefully will go somewhere. This looks like it can go somewhere later. Good call. This one definitely slipped past us, this XNET trade. All right, I think I just about got everybody else there. CPSH got halted. Oh, man, we have a big watch list now, folks. You know, the CPSH, though, at least for right now, I'm going to hold off. It looks good just based on the halt, the pop. I feel like it's going to come down fast. If it doesn't, then hey, we'll call it out after once we finish this meeting up. I appreciate the call out on this, though, because it's up big, got halted at the highs. You know, you hope to see a lot of life on this. I'm actually going to hold off on this. I don't know if something, just my intuition tells me that we're not going to see as clean of a move after Chuck. So that's my intuition. So I certainly could be wrong on that. I hope I am. So if it ends up making, you know, more of a push after it reopens from this halt, we'll look to try and follow it. Momo trade again. That one looks pretty flat. Not a whole lot happening there. It looks like it might be building some sort of flag to see it break higher into the close. So, you know, if all goes according to plan, that would be the case. But again, kind of not much to write home about here in the meantime. What about ZOM? Yeah, ZOM, same thing. Same thing at this point. All right, so I think that we did a pretty good job kind of just like being selective there at the end. We have a pretty big list, though, altogether. So I think we have 12 stocks in total, folks. Maxed out list. If there's anything else, we'll look to call it out a bit later on. I mean, with everything on our list so far, ACRX, XNet, DDD, FCEL, Plug, ENG. I didn't even talk about Snap there. You know, stick with this list, folks, please. You know, for all of us inside the trading room, I say this more so, too, for all of us in social media, feel free to join us. If you're not going to join us, I'm not going to see you. But for all of us inside the trading room, let's stick with this list, all right? Don't call out something that's completely flat afterwards. You know, if something's about to make a huge pop or something is popping after this meeting finishes up, call it out. If there's something making a huge move, that is, then rightfully so. But otherwise, stick with this list. You're going to get too overwhelmed otherwise. This is a big list already. So even from this list, stick with just a couple, and then we'll kind of work together as a team. You know, for the best move that's out there, we'll look to try and, you know, capitalize on it as it's happening. All right, folks, I'll talk to you a bit later on coming up inside the trading room. I'm going to jump back on the mic right around 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Take care.